And to have the audacity to think that she's in love with you because she's in love with you and not because you represent an opportunity to get out of slavery. Like,
we'll come back to that.
Oh, my God. Okay. I'm sorry.
But welcome back, gentlemen. Welcome. I know you guys are on spring break. Well, y'all wasn't. I was out shooting, so that's why I'm here. Shit filming. Yeah. All right, man. We got
Oh, what's up, man? Easy Rose, what's going on? I thought you was going to introduce yourself.
Oh, my fault. Nah, I'm not selfish like that.
Oh, okay.
Other people go first.
Anyway, Easy Rose, Brooklyn, stand up. New York City, stand up. Chicago, stand up.
Okay, I will. This is Cofax. Back in the saddle again.
All right, that's what's up. Brooklyn. How you feel about that Jay concert?
I seen clips of it.
Like,
what do you mean? How I feel about it? Like, just him doing it there at
yeah. What are your
Webster
thoughts?
Hall?
I mean, I have my own thoughts, but I'd love to.
Why you hate on it?
Not because you're from Brooklyn, but
No,
because you're next to me, so I'm asking.
When I thought about it, Jay is at a point in his career where he does whatever he wants to do. Doing it at Webster Hall, I thought it was kind of like weird because that was a spot like coming up in New York City when you couldn't really get into the club yet. That's where all the young cats went. So I really didn't think too much of it. I didn't really care too much about it. It didn't really mean that much to me. It probably meant more to someone else, but not that much to me.
Right. I mean, you have any thoughts?
I mean, I'm just kind of like tired of Jay. It's the worst thing to say because he's definitely the GOAT. But I'm just like, nothing he does to me anymore excites me.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, maybe it was, the 8 straight shows at Barclays to open it, and I was definitely there.
Oh, yeah. I was there opening night.
And shit like that. But it's just like, I don't know. It's like, and I definitely don't want to be one of those cats that, like, you get too old for hip-hop because you don't. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, just not excited by Jay anymore.
Man, I feel like not that I'm an expert, but it just feels like he hasn't changed his show. It's like the same kind of flow and cadence and then like different songs thrown in. Like I like the B-sides idea because like, songs you don't always hear when he performs. My only gripe with it was that tickets sold out in like 30 seconds or less. And then when you look at the videos, it's all like media and like industry people. So like for me, it felt like if you really wanted to do something, you could have did it at the Garden or Barclays even. But I mean, it's marketing and everything.
Yeah, that's true. And then I don't know, maybe on the other side, like what you're saying is marketing. So we got to just watch the rest of it. Like it's probably something else, gonna be like a pop up or something.
Yeah,
free,
he's
something
definitely probably
that's
live at Webster Hall. Jay-Z's B-sides coming just like B did for Coachella with the live album. They're starting to get into like that range of kind of royalty of hip hop and R&B. So like, do they even have live albums? Like, I don't think Jay even has a live album.
Yeah, he does. He has Unplugged.
Oh, the Unplugged joint.
That's the only one he got.
So maybe that's this. I don't know. Did he perform with a band or was it just like?
It was with a band. It was like MTV joint.
Yeah, I don't know who the band was, but
it was the Roots. No, it wasn't.
Oh, the Roots.
Well, no, it was
Webster Hall.
No. I'm sorry. I
thought
you meant.
No, I'm talking about at Webster Hall. Like
at Webster Hall, I'm not sure. It was probably whatever band he performed with when he did the American Gangster.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Maybe. I mean, like I said, I don't want to disparage anybody's love for Jay. Yeah. I still love the dude. Like he's my guy forever. He'll always be the GOAT, just like Jordan. But at the same time, I'm here to see like Harden now. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like I want to see like New Gen do incredible shit, which they're doing. And I love Jay, and I've seen Jay 1,000 times. Yeah. But at the same time, maybe it was different in Webster Hall. Like the last time I was there, it was OT Genesis.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, when he fell off, when Busta fell off
you
the
were
stage.
there?
Yeah, I was there for that. And that was literally the last time I was in Webster Hall. So it's just, for me, that's a cool venue. Maybe it sounds a lot better than it was, and maybe they've done a whole different thing and all of that.
Last time I was there was Travis Scott, Days Before the Rodeo with Young Thug. That was crazy. That was a wild concert.
Yo, last time I was there, it was at a party. It was like years ago.
Oh,
So,
Thursday nights?
it was many moons ago.
All
so
right.
I don't know.
So, all right, speaking of marketing with Jay and everything, I know a lot's kind of gone on since the last time we recorded. Droga lost Mailchimp. Mailchimp decided to kind of go in-house, which I thought was pretty interesting because I did a quick search and found out that like a lot of clients are starting to go in-house. I think there was an article in Ad Age, like 70% or like 60%. Sorry, 70 is like way too high. But like 60% of like clients or something like that are starting to go in-house. Like they're starting to do all their work. You know, they'll bring creatives in the client side and kind of just do just their work. What do you guys think is the future of in-house agencies? And what does that mean for like conglomerate
I've been saying this
agencies?
since probably early 2000s, even the 1990s when Gap took all of their work in-house.
Oh shit!
And their work was dope. And Levi's. I think they were the first major companies to do it. I've run in-house shops specifically.
Talk about it.
I know that it's a lot of work, but it also allows you to focus so much on the work that you do really dope shit. And honestly, the advertising agency model is far beyond dead.
I mean, it's never been updated.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I believe that I think that agencies should become content companies and studios and branded content and move as far as they can away from traditional work.
Well, I think agencies are becoming studios, but like they're not pumping out enough work to like bring have a space in the agency and have like continuous work, so where it's like you're building revenue.
So taking work in-house, to me, for brand side, everybody to me should be a media company at this point, not in the traditional sense of purchasing, but of creating, of content creating. So I believe that brands have the opportunity to do that as well. When they want to tell their stories, who better to do that than an internal production and creative team that sits inside of the brand, that understands the brand motives, the consumer journeys and motives, and all of the things endemically that come with working inside of the brand versus having to communicate that to an agency that then has to find that voice outside of the brand itself. I never understood why not just pull in a group of 10 to 20 or more people that know that every day and come to work on that brand or various brands within that company every single day. Versus getting a slice or hours of a creative's time at an ad agency.
I mean, do creatives want to work on? I mean, I'm probably judging from the outside in, but do creatives want to work on one brand only? Like I always thought
it depends on the brand. I was super hyped to work on the brand that I was on. I was at Apple on Beats.
Jeez.
And as such, having run their brand design department, I felt the way that, I was psyched every day to go and change the world through the Beats electronic side of the business. Yeah. And we did that, you know what I mean? And it was so much opportunity within just the realm of that brand. Now, if you're on like an insurance brand like Prudential or something, maybe that's not as popping. And we, one of our ad bros works on that every day. So, you would have to ask him how that feels. Yeah. And I think he gets psyched about it because, once again, depends on how you look at it. Yeah, you get to dig in on something and you're not pitching. That's the other side of it. As a creative, that takes so much of your energy to like build a pitch it, present it, and do all of that. And then you may not win, or if you do win, that work might not get produced.
Right.
So, that's part of the business that I pitch very well and I've won a ton of pitches. But the fact is that if I walk in every day knowing that I can own this,
right,
and then we can just really dig into the heart, soul, and spirit of that brand, I'm good with it. And especially if the brand is dope.
So, Cofax, quick question for you. Just in that model, right, like, I totally get that and I agree, like, because you're moving away from the pitching and now you're just focusing on the work, right? But the fact that now you're focusing on working your in-house with the clients, right? What is that working relationship like? Because you worked on both sides.
That's the
right?
other thing.
Now you have clients that feel like they could see you in the hallway and reach for you and just like stop you and stop that process versus like, you know, the church and state kind of process. Like, all right, I'm over here working.
Yep.
Right. Like, let me get the product. Let me get the work done. Let me work. And Loaded Lux voice. Right. Like versus now, I mean, you know, and now you kind of like, all right, you guys might share the same floor. They're on the 7th floor, and you're on the 6th. You're on the 9th floor, and they could come in and pull up.
That's a good point.
So, like, I mean, just kind of elaborate on that. Just the differences. Like, it could be the pros and the cons perspective on that.
So, from my perspective or my experience, it's give and take. You know, we being Beats Massive, we were always on. So I came right after the Apple acquisition. So the fact is that like, you had to not only integrate the culture of Beats into Apple, but vice versa. So you had multiple levels of people you had to answer to. Now, the client Beats had multiple departments. So you had in-ear, over-ear, speakers, energy, music. You had a number of departments, and each one of those fed right into my department that I ran, brand design. And we would get briefed just like a typical agency and so forth. So each one of those were typically my client. The difference is that I sat right there next to them, and I believe as a leader, you have to shield your team from it. So I was essentially
You're the
buffer, so that my team wouldn't be inundated with work and just people tapping on shoulders.
Oh man, that
and so forth.
Annoying.
You know.
Yeah.
All the time. Because we had good account managers as well.
That's
I
good.
think
That's always
I
strong.
think all the time like clients don't understand like process. Like they want things in a certain way and they talk about process, but then when things are going like left, now they're at your door. Per what Cofax is saying, like, you know, and that's gonna impact the team to some capacity. So like I think that's a great point about like him kind of being the buffer and relaying the message in a way.
You have to have great leadership if you're going to have that in-house.
Because there needs to be swim lanes. Like
Totally.
I mean, I think to your point, I think a lot of clients who don't understand process, it's always good to have a good account person because they're really that person who's supposed to drive that. And two, I mean, I just worked on a shoot where our client used to work at an agency. So, like, they would give their opinion and their 2 cents, but they totally understood, like, hey, I know it's going to take you a while to come up with this, but just so you know, this is what I'm thinking. And that always worked because I remember we had one creative at our old agency who worked at Red Fuse, and there was no buffer between the client and there was no creative director. And it was just like, hey, just toss the creative over to the fence, straight to the client.
Right. And the thing about that is the reason why I brought this up because I feel like in this game, there's a lot of yes men. So it's like, all right, we have a timeline. Respect the timeline. Now you got the people putting it together.
Say that one more time. Respect the timeline.
Respect the timeline. like because clients in their minds think that things could get done in a certain amount of time. So what happens now is you have to defend your work, right? You have to give them something tangible they could walk away with and saying like, here's the timeline. Oh, well, why do we need 2 days to do? Right. I don't know.
And also,
mock-ups.
I just want to jump in. Respect the caveats too. Because you give someone a timeline and then they wait a week and they be like, whoa, so we're still delivering on the same day, right? And it's like,
right,
nah, you took a week, bro.
Right. So, I mean, and that's a whole nother conversation, another pod, I think.
Yeah,
but
hell yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking just the reality of like have the agency model where clients don't necessarily know what's happening on the back end. They just, they're just accepting a finished product to talk to who's on their end.
That's the beauty of having an in-house agency on the brand side is that your clients are with you throughout the entire process. Yeah. Right. So they know from beginning to end because they're literally sitting right next to you, hand in hand. And I believe that everybody, as a creative director, everybody has ability to be creative. And I've never been one of those creatives that have been precious about the work and all that stuff. Like, we're not creating art. We're in business. So our goal is to create stories that communicate to our audience that then push the needle, drive trial and volume, and obviously move the dial. That's advertising. You know, if you want to be an artist, go be an artist on your off time, but now you're here to sell or at least engender trial. So I need the client to sit there, or my team, if it's in-house, to sit there with me and be a part of the process, as opposed to just, here's a brief, now come back in 2 weeks. Oh, it's showtime. I sit on the other side of the table. You present to me, dog and pony show. I give you my feedback, because this is, for most clients, this is like their time off, or they can like flex on you or whatever if you're on the agency side. But if you're on the brand side, all of that is gone. You know, we're on equal footing, and as such,
You're on the same team.
We're on the same team. So now that can have its converse side in the sense that, like, I've had to talk brand managers, I mean, literally from like quitting, and they cry on my shoulder and things like that because of the perils of what they're going through, and I have to respond to their issues at the same time. But that makes it all the better, and that's why the work ultimately ends up, to me, 9 out of 10 times being stronger than it would if you're just a separate outside agency.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I do want to add one caveat to that when you do that, you have to have equal representation in the room, because there are brands, i.e. Pepsi. I know we keep going back to that, where you do it all in-house, and you see what that result is.
Definitely.
When you don't have someone in the room to make it look right.
But that's with everything, man. I mean, you got to play with the whole team. Like, you can't just – Warren Buffett said that. He was like, you know, they were like, well, why do you have 50% women? He was like, what is it? How am I going to win if I don't play with the entire team?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have black, brown, LGBTQI, women, all of those things on your squad, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
I mean, it was Malcolm X who said, if you want to see how strong a tribe is, look how strong their women are. And that's right there.
Yeah, and another thing too, like, I just think a lot of people lack taste, right? Like, people do things in bad taste.
You can't buy taste.
And you can't buy taste. Like, that's something, like, that's just something you have or you don't have it. But
I think you acquire it.
You can acquire it, but that's something, like, I don't know. I don't think you could really buy taste. Like, I think that you have to have, like, taste requires experience, vision, and
well, that's why I feel like you could acquire it, because
what I mean over time.
Oh yeah,
not with time, not with money.
No. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll fuck with that. Yeah. So I mean, that kind of brings me to my next point. Like, people outside of advertising might not understand this, but like, Accenture purchased Droga a couple weeks ago. For those who don't work in advertising, Accenture is like what is Accenture exactly?
They're a consultancy, the largest.
There you go. Largest consultancy.
Strategy firm.
Purchases like one of top 10 creative agencies in America, which is, I don't know, like, I don't really know what it means, dude. I mean, what do you guys think it would mean for like advertising and clients, like, you know, how the model might change in the future?
Well, once again, I mean, looking at like Accenture, I don't know if you saw, this is related, but Hertz sued them for $32 million for their website redesign. So like, Accenture is taking on a lot more work. Like, they did the Hyundai website redesign and so forth. So like, these consultants, you know, companies like Bain and Accenture and the big ones, they're getting into the ad game. So this made a ton of sense. As well, to go back to the previous topic, that the advertising model is dying. So how do you now consolidate into something else where you can still get the functionality of an ad agency without it being the exact model of what the ad agency is, until we figure out a new model for advertising in general, or ad agencies in general? So it makes sense to me, because Accenture, they're consultants. They're MBAs and B school kids that are good at PowerPoints and things like that, but they don't have the production side, they don't have the creative side, they don't have the strategy side. So it makes sense to acquire. They don't got the
media side.
They don't have the media side. Sorry. So
it's all good.
Basically, basically it makes sense to find those functions and bring them in house and apply them to clients that you already have, versus the opposite. Though I believe agencies could do consulting work, but you have these large clients at these big consultancies, and fold in, all the other components that an ad agency brings, and that makes a ton of sense.
Okay. You got any thoughts on that?
No, I thought that was well said.
All right. So that brings me to the last kind of topic I was thinking about on this. Weed. I'm gonna switch. I see somebody nodding their head in the room. So
this is all I want to talk about.
Yeah, and we're not talking about smoking it. I was kind of, what was it? So on Twitter, Questlove posted a video that CNBC or CBS did of the day in the life of a drug. Well, I guess technically a drug dealer, someone who's selling weed and like dropping it off like a rideshare service. They had some clips from High Maintenance on HBO, etc. What does, the future of cannabis mean for like advertising and like marketing and like how do we get in there? And by we, I mean us listeners. How do you get into like, if you can't own a dispensary, how do you get into like, I want to work on
you could be clear about it. People of color. How do people of color get into this industry?
Talk.
No soft talk.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's opportunity. Like, it's all opportunity. So you said advertising and marketing, so that's the approach I'm kind of gotta take. I'm gonna take
because I guess my thing is too, because like right now having a liquor brand at your agency is like one of the top things you want to do. Having a marijuana weed brand, I don't know, our agency is gonna be a little reluctant to jump into it until like one agency does it and they see the success story and they're like, all right. Or what would be the advice you would have for someone trying to jump into it?
I mean, agencies, per what Cofax is saying, is kind of like fading out and dying out. So like you would want to be like riding with the wave and something new. So I mean, this is something else that's almost like the Wild Wild West, just like the internet was when it popped off, right?
Yeah.
So like
right now, there's no rules.
There's no rules.
I mean, I guess you could use alcohol brands as like the base of the rules,
right? So I mean, I'm sure the most important thing is just like knowing like regulations and how those things come into fruition and how those things like roll out and come to fold. But like that's something I think that everyone's gonna figure out as we go along. Like I don't think right now anyone has an answer, but I think it's worth the shot. Like it's worth the try. Like next 25 years, like weed is gonna, bro. I mean, right now it's popping. So like, and now it's just all opportunity. So I mean,
yeah, for me, I mean, it's anything revolving cannabis, or more affectionately known as weed. I say go, especially as people of color. This is our industry from beginning to end, literally. We were the ones that brought it to the country, through Central and South America. We were the ones that perpetuated it, be it Louis Armstrong or any of the early jazz musicians. We were the ones that suffered as it was made illegal because it was told to be made, so that white women particularly would lose their mind and want to have sex with black men. The idiocy of that made it illegal. We were the ones that went to jail for it. Now we're the ones that should profit from it. And one of the ways that we should is through our skill set as advertisers, be it creative, media, production, strategy. All of that can be applied to this incredibly fertile new industry.
Right.
So I mean, there's so much content out there that you can make. I just look at like, I don't know. There's just so much stuff you could do, especially food products. Like Ben and Jerry's, I think, did some cool, funny thing on Twitter for 420. I can't remember what it was.
Nah, actually, it wasn't even that funny. They were just saying the exact same thing I said. Like, yo, you cannot legalize this without having specific equity programs for those that have been disproportionately affected by it, which are people of color.
Yeah.
Right now, mad white men are, Acreage just got bought for $3.4 billion by Canopy. And that's only when it goes legal. Like, they got a promise ring, essentially, like old school in high school, where you would give a promise ring to a girl. They got a $3.4 billion promise ring from canopy for something that's not even legal yet. And we're only 4% of the industry in America, we being people of color and women. No, not at all. That's not going to stand. So the point is that, yeah, if you have an idea for an ad agency, there's actually already one called Wick and Mortar. Look that up. They do dope work. They just did a little short about Humboldt County and the start of the cannabis industry in America in Humboldt County, California. They do good work. But the fact is that if there's a multicultural perspective that can be brought to this, then it needs to be brought immediately. So I would start to say, set that up, think about it, and then enact and do.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. Now, I was just going to say, I like that Spike Jonze ad that he did with Jesse Williams where they were trying to normalize weed. It was like a music. Just Google it. Spike Jonze, Jesse Williams. It was a really good ad. I thought it was great, put together. I mean, I just wish they could have like expound on that into like a campaign. It was like a one-off ad, but I thought it was dope.
Yeah, I mean, and just building off of everything that was just said, like maybe hip hop is the force that's gonna move this along. I mean, rappers from Snoop Dogg, B Real, Wiz Khalifa, like that's what they're like. That's what they're known for. Yeah. Like it just is what it is. So I'm sure that these cats are all influencers, and right now, like we're in the age of the internet where everyone has and social media, you have access. So they're able to, like, you know, I'm sure work with companies or just working maybe with smaller groups of people who are their impact and but they might have the mouthpiece for.
Yeah, I mean, and you got Willie Nelson too. He's a little older, but he's been talking about weed for a long time.
Yeah, but I'm talking more for like the next generation with this new wave. Like, you know, I have little cousins that like look up to Wiz, like they love Wiz. You know what I mean? So, like,
I feel you.
And this is the time to be a part of it, not when it's legal,
right?
Not when it's federally legal and descheduled.
That's too late.
That's way too late. I have friends that a lot of my friends in advertising actually have jumped out of very good roles to take opportunities in the weed space. Most notably, my old boss, Jason White. Shout out, Jason. He left Beats to go to Curacana as a CMO.
Oh,
you know, so like, and then there's another good friend of mine who's a CD. She left her role in LA to jump into the space. So there's a ton of different ways to get in, and it's fertile ground. No one has the rules or the playbook for it right now.
That's always the best time to jump in because
you can create.
You can kind of do whatever you want.
You can create the blueprint
within the legal bounds of the law. I bet. All right, yo. So that wraps up our spring break catch up. Catch us on the next joint. Signing out, my man Cofax here. Yeah.
Easy Rose.
And what we tell them?
No soft talk when it comes to telling the truth.
No soft talk.
I bet.